how to make 2026 your best year of darts to date. I'm here today with 3 things that I really do believe, if you're not doing these already, will really help your game throughout the year. These aren't technical tips. I don't really believe too much at the moment in getting deep in technical tips. I think there's a lot of things you can do with your darts game that are non-technical that will really help your game. So the first thing we're going to talk about is identity. So I think it helps to identify what sort of darts player you want to be. Now, that's not to say you have to be a super serious player and you really need to just decide that you're going to be serious about darts this year. No, that's not what this is about. When I'm talking about establishing your identity, you could be a player that just enjoys the social aspect of darts. You could just enjoy going down to the pub and playing with your friends. You could just enjoy watching darts and playing a little bit casually. That's totally fine. I think if you're in that camp, it helps to establish it early on. It will make your game more enjoyable. And that's really the most important thing. If it's more enjoyable, you're going to get a lot more out of darts. So yeah, it's giving yourself that sort of freedom to just embrace what you enjoy doing. You don't have to be serious. That's kind of the first facet of this. The second thing I will say is if you're more of a serious player who wants to kind of push themselves in competition, or if you want to push yourself into like a tournament or like in a league, play against tougher opposition and try and just become better in general, and that's your focus and that's where you get your enjoyment, it helps to identify as that. For anyone who's read the book Atomic Habits, that's a key part of the book is identity. And they use the example in the book of a person who's learning to play guitar. And if they think of themselves as somebody who's learning guitar, they are a lot less likely to succeed than someone who identifies as a guitar player. And the way you perceive yourself and the way you see yourself is important. And if you see yourself as somebody who is a serious darts player, I really do think you'll grow into that naturally. I think thinking you will become, I guess, but I do think it makes a big difference. And if you are one of these people that wants to push themselves and take it to that next level, think of yourself in that way. Embrace it. Identify what you want from this game. Are you somebody who enjoys the casual, the social aspect, or are you somebody that enjoys winning, improvement, trying to be the best you can be? Make that clear distinction in your head and 2026 will be better. So, number 2, the mental game. Now, the mental game is very important. Obviously, that goes without saying. I really do believe that if you have a good mental game, it's going to be the foundation of your darts game, because you can do all the technical stuff you want to do, but if you crumble under pressure, you're going to be in for a rough time. I've seen it myself with people I've played against. I've seen it with myself, the way I kind of have behaved in the past when I'm frustrated or just disappointed in things. You see it on TV with with Cameron Menzies, like a couple of weeks ago at the World Championships, smashing the table. You can see when you're watching a player on TV, sometimes the head's just gone. And I think it's just so important to really do everything you can from a mental perspective to make your game better. And some of the things that I've kind of got written down here are: be kind to yourself. Like, don't beat yourself up for making mistakes. Don't allow like these negative thoughts to creep in. I'm shit, I'm bad, I shouldn't be playing, why am I playing this game, why am I doing any of this, I'm wasting my time. If you think like that, you're really putting yourself in a disadvantageous position. You need to be kind to yourself. Don't play when you're tilted. That's another tip. I mean, and this isn't just when it comes to competition, this comes to practice, because if you're playing darts and practicing when you're tilted, and by tilted, if you're not familiar with that term, it's an old poker term that I think has kind of spread into other things in life, but it basically means if you're sort of like, if you've lost your head, if you're raging, if you're really angry, and you're not in control of your emotions, that's what tilted means. Don't practice when you're tilted, because it'll force you to do bad things, it'll enforce bad habits, you could end up, punching something, I don't know, whatever you do, you'll beat yourself up. It's like the gateway to all the other negative things that happen, like on the mental side. And as I said, you can beat yourself up and have all these negative emotions, and it starts with the tilt. So if you're tilted and you're frustrated with the way you're playing in practice, just put the darts down and just go and take a time out. Go and do something else, anything else, because it will serve you so much better in the long run to not just throw fuel on that negative fire. And tilt and playing tilted is a surefire way to do that. Comparison, that's another point. So people often, and I think this is just human nature, I think it's perfectly natural if I'm being honest, but I think you really need to try and limit how much you compare yourself to other people. So you might have been playing darts for a year, and you might look at somebody else who's been playing for a year, and their average or their level of play might be just much better than yours. And that could be really demoralizing, that can be really frustrating, that can be another gateway to all these negative emotions I've talked about. If you're just comparing yourself to other people, it's a really unhealthy way to go. And the fact is, everybody's on their own journey. Just because somebody is doing better than you, their situation probably isn't comparable to you at all. And you might think it is, but it probably isn't. Everyone comes in with different transferable skills. Everyone comes in with different life circumstances, physical attributes, a mental state. There's all these different moving parts to darts, and phrasing, rhymes, whatever. There's all these different moving parts to your game. And you're just focusing on the result of all of that. And it's unhealthy. I would really encourage you to just limit comparison where possible. As I said, I understand it's natural. I understand it happens. I understand it's human nature to some degree. But just try not to do it so much and you will find yourself in a much better mental state. I promise you that. Another one would be focus on actions and not results. So really, try not to just focus on oh, my 3-dot average has been bad recently. Try to focus on how you're feeling. Try to focus on the actions that you're putting in. Try to focus on the wins of the habits you create for yourself rather than just results, because results are going to fluctuate. And I've talked about that in previous videos. Results are going to be up one day, they're going to be down the next day, the next week, the next month. That's going to be all over the place. And if you really focus on the actions that you take to improve your game and feel good about that, feel good on the inputs, not the outputs. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Try to just do everything you can to just put the right things into your game and take pride in that. Don't take pride in results as much as possible. I understand, once again, it's natural to want to get the best results. That's why we play the game, but just focus as much as you can on those inputs and what you're doing, on those actions. And finally, point number 3, burnout. Now, I understand that when people get into, and when I say people, I mean me included, when you get into a hobby or a passion or a sport or any sort of interest, it's very easy to just go down the rabbit hole and just get buried in content, in immersing yourself in the game, just to become obsessed. And I don't want to ruin that enthusiasm. I just want to say, be sustainable with the way you're enjoying the game and playing and the things that you're watching. Don't do it in a way where you're going to burn yourself out. So what I mean by this is, you might start practicing 3 hours a day and you'll think to yourself, if I practice 3 hours a day, I'm going to get better faster. And then a month in, you're finding yourself not wanting to pick up the darts, you're sick of the sight of them, and you forget about darts for 2 to 3 months. And then you come back in 2 to 3 months and, oh no, I'm behind the 8 ball. And I would encourage you to try and find a way to play daily or consistently, whatever it may be, whatever works for you, in a way that you just enjoy it and you feel like you can just keep on doing this. Just don't burn yourself out too much. Like I say, I know it's tempting, especially when the World Championship's on, especially when the Premier League of Darts is around the corner. It's really peak darts season right now. And it's very easy to just kind of give yourself too much and end up dropping in and out because you're just too enthusiastic, which enthusiasm is fantastic. And I really do obviously encourage that, but just try to temper it where you can. Try to tame it where you can. And I think if you can do that, you'll get the best long-term results. And it will bleed into your practice too, because if you're super crazy about your practice for a month, it might not be the best practice. I think if you're more intentional about the way you do things and you're a bit more reserved in the way you're approaching the game, you're probably going to get more out of it over 6 months. Whereas, like I say, the other way around, you're probably going to go crazy for a month and then you might just stop playing for 2. So that is point number 3. I know these points probably aren't going to be changing the world for you in terms of the way you think about darts, but I really do believe if you're a new player or if you're within your first 6 months, these will serve as the foundation for what's going to make you a better player in the long term. So if you've got this far, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know down below if any of these have helped you, or if any of these things have occurred to you, or if you've recently implemented any of the things that I've discussed in this video or worked on any of the things I've discussed in this video. Thank you once again. I really do appreciate it. Maybe even, I don't know, where's the like button? I think it's down here. Maybe hit that and subscribe. But no, thank you very much, and I will catch you for the next one. Bye bye.